it's a matter of looking at our life and being able to not keep the same old thinking if we're finding that it's not successful in our life, and it means just changing the think to create the experiences that we want. Now that sounds so absolutely basic, and I know, it isn't just thinking makes it so. It is literally making a change, but that change we have to be aware of it at first, right? Here's the quote from Ernest Holmes. We have to keep our minds open at the top for a new influx of wisdom. And we have to set up a sign which says, stop, look, and listen. Does I believe really measure up to the truth? And sometimes we just go through with things and we do things, especially the older we get, the more we get in our thinking, because that's the way we've always done it. That's the way we've always done it. But religious science reminds us that the whole way that this teaching works is that, number one, we are born of this power, and we are one with that power, and that power is ours to use. And how we use it is to us. That power gave us also free will that says, I'm not going to go in and tell you what to do. So whatever pickle you've created for yourself, you've created it. But a lot of people will blame God or blame their circumstances or whatever. But this teaching reminds us back to self. Like, what is it that I've taken into my experience that I believe that I'm creating in my experience? We believe that in a creative power of thought, and that the idea that individuals can shape their own events. Now think about that. I don't know about you, but I was not raised to think that I can shape my own experience. I mean, of course, if you went to school or if you studied or you did this, yeah, you could create your own career. But shaping your own experience is a different ballgame, isn't it? It's a different response. I have a ballgame on my mind today. It's playing right now, knowing the Dodgers are winning. One of my very first teacher was Dr. Frank Richelieu, and he built the center of beach. And it looks kind of from the outside, it kind of looks like a beehive. It's open at the top, and he literally created it because of that saying, open at the top. And Ernest Holmes was one of his teachers, so he was taught by Ernest Holmes. So he wanted to learn and, promote that same idea. And the story of it is so funny. I'll just tell you briefly that it's a chain of events. You know how things are in our life connected. I managed a bunch of properties, commercial buildings, and we're having some woodwork redone. And I called this guy out of the blue as a wood refinisher. And this guy comes in, he's an older guy, and he's carrying what looks like, remember the old shoe shine boxes that people carry? That's what he was carrying. And his name was Dave Cox, and he came in, and I showed him this different stuff. We were doing these wood caps on them. I needed them fixed, but we didn't want to replace the wood. So he's like, I can do that. So he sits down, do you happen to be a singer? I go, yeah, I'm a singer. And he goes, so am I. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll sing you a song, you sing me a song. I go, okay. So he sings a song, I sing a song, fast friends. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. He goes, well, my wife and I, we're performing at this place. It's a cafeteria in Burbank. It no longer exists. It was called Beatles. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I think so.
He goes, well, we're playing there. Why don't you come and see us? So I go, okay, great. So I go there, and it was relatively empty, and it was filled with a lot of older people. And at that time, I was like in my 40s, so I was like the only person in my 40s there. But I thought, well, isn't this interesting? All these people knew each other. I thought, that's cool. In the line, and this guy is standing next to me. He goes, don't eat this. It's not any good on Wednesdays, but try this instead. And da 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 da. So I'm like, well, thanks for the tip. So we go down and we pay for our food. And he goes, hey, are you sitting with anyone? I'm like, I'm not. He's like, well, how about if we sit together? I'm like, great. So we sit down, we start talking, and I start saying something, and he goes, you have a different way of speaking. I was a practitioner student at the time, and I was really practicing. How you are when you're first studying something, it's in your mind so much. And I go, oh, that's it. I go, well, I'm studying to be a practitioner in this religious science. And he goes, oh, really? Where is that? And I said, Redondo Beach. He goes, really? He goes, I built that church.
Oh my gosh.
And his name was Howard Van Euclid. He also built the Glendale one. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, Doc and I are dear friends. I go, really? And he goes, do you know how that got built? And I said, no. He goes, we were sitting in a bar one time, and he said, we had a cocktail napkin. And Dr. Frank was like, I want to create something that's open at the top. How we're going to do it, but I need the opening to be at the top. So he said, we drew out design on a cocktail napkin. And he goes, from there, I built the building. And I'm like, God, I have goosebumps every time I tell that story because I said, Howard, that's genius. Really cool space, right? So meanwhile, David Wilcox comes over when it's his time to break because they were performing. And he comes over, he goes, do you two know each other? I go, no, we just met each other. I go, but he built the church that I go to. He goes, what church is that? I go, it's the Church of Religious Science at Redondo Beach. He goes, really? You know what? He goes, I'm a practitioner.
Oh my
And I
God.
goes, so is these, he goes, all these folks, he goes, we're all practitioners in all these different centers. Boy, talk about synergy. So you see how one thought can be a lightning rod for other things. And I said, he has no idea that how that open at the top really kind of just, moved other people. But open at the top means staying open to new thoughts, but it also means making a choice, doesn't it? It's a lot of times for us, it's the same ball game, it's different players. There's my ball game reference once again. It's the same ball game, different players, but if we want something to be different, we have to make a choice to be different. So think about this. I had to think about this yesterday. So it's like when you're cleaning your house, it doesn't matter where you begin. The important thing is that you begin. And then you kind of go, oh, now I got to do this and now I got to do that. But the important part is to begin. Sometimes we have difficulty just beginning. We have the thought and we go, okay, I'm going to take a nap first, whatever we decide to do, because we're, I've got to change. So saying yes to life really means having a commitment to doing it, doesn't it? It says, okay, I don't like the way things are showing up and I want them to change. Well, what do I need to do? So here we go. The way to make a concerted effort to make your life more rewarding means you have to let go of that old stuff and you have to embrace something new. Now, it may sound really easy, but letting go of the old stuff can be so difficult. Here's what Louise Hay said. Let's see here. When we, plus understanding, when we want to let go of something that's not serving us any longer, it's buried deep within us, and it's a pattern in our experience. And sometimes it's hard. It's just like that you want to kind of quit. You've got to change your thinking about it. Louise Hay says, our bad habits or our things that we no longer serve rise to the surface of our attention in some way, and we begin to relate to it. We often attract then a teacher, a friend, a book, or a center, and ourselves to wake up ourselves, to begin to awaken new ways to approach solving our issues. Have you ever noticed that? I bet everybody here has some way and some beautiful story of how they wound up at a center, don't you? Like however you wound up going to a center or finding a teacher or doing a workshop or reading a book. It's like, I don't believe this, but I walked into this store and this book fell off the shelf and there I was reading it. You never, anybody else other than me have a strange thing? I remember listening to Dr. Frank on the radio as I was driving to work one time, and I thought, and started to listen to him all the time, and I thought, I'm just gonna go there and I'm gonna prove whether or not it's a cult or not, because it felt kind of cultish to me. And I got there and I went on an Easter Sunday 1 billion years ago and sat in the back so that if it was really a crazy, I could make my fast getaway. So I sat in the back and I was just amazed. I was just amazed at what I heard. And I literally was sitting in the room like I was at home. I felt like I reached home, like this is my home. This thinking I resonate with. And that's the important thing, is like, know that the goodness that you desire is always, and it will resonate to you in different ways. Things will show up, people will show up, teachers will show up, books will show up, TV programs will show up, music will show up. Things will show up that get you in alignment with what it is that your desire is higher about. The truth is, the change we want to see in our lives begins the moment we think about the change. Did you ever notice that? Sometimes when you put a need for a prayer out there, the answer to the prayer is in the prayer itself. It's already done because you've set the intention in motion. So, we went to another room. Think about it. You can't just sit there and go, I want to go into another room. This is a case where thinking makes it so ain't gonna happen, right? Because it's more than thinking. We have that saying, treat and move your feet. We don't just think we want to go into a room. It's not gonna happen by visioning it, by feeling yourself in the other room. You have to get up and move, okay? To get into the next room, you have to get up and move. It's the same with our life. You have to get up and move. Quick illustration that thinking alone is not going to make things happen. Feeling about it is not going to make things happen. What's going to make it happen? You think it, you see it, you feel it, you believe it, and you do. You follow where that yellow brick road is that if you're being faced with, you just follow that and go with it. Once we identify that we want to change a particular habit or issue, we have to take responsibility for the fact that we created it. That's the hard one, right? So some of this stuff you may look at it and you're like, I did not create that. Guess what? Your thinking allowed it to happen in your experience and to get into the circumstances of your life. This is the time to acknowledge then that there's a power within you that can transform whatever it is you're being faced with, whatever it is. We're not talking about making yourself raw dog or anything like that. It's going, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to say, guess what? I am now going to change my thinking and change my life. I'm going to change the way I think about it. And as I do that, it will bring about things that absolutely be little lightning rods to create little changes in your life. Know that whatever we're trying to release and change and otherwise get rid of in our life is just a symptom. It's just an outer effect. And so getting rid of the symptoms without rid of the root cause of what's causing it is never going to do anything. You can get rid of the symptoms, and I'm sure all of us has. How many have lost 10 pounds and put it right back on? How many have quit smoking and started again? How many have done whatever it is they were going to try and stop, go right back to again? Because that's just the symptom. The root cause is what we get to. And the root cause is all about loving yourself, getting in touch with yourself, getting in touch with your truth, knowing what it is that you want. So there's this couple, and they're having their friends over for dinner, and they're going to have ham dinner. So they have the ham dinner, and the wife is cooking it, and everything's going on. They put the ham on the table, and everything's wonderful, and they have the ham dinner, and everybody leaves, and the husband goes, I'm just wondering, the ham was sensational, but why is it that when we have the ham, it's only this big? Why is the ham only that big? Oh, I do that because I cut the end of the ham off because that's what my mother always did. And she goes, oh. So later they talk to the mother during the week, and he goes, hey, why did you cut the ham, off? Why do you cut that whole end off? Why do you do that? She goes, I don't know, that's the way my mother did it. So Grandma's there, and they say, hey, Grandma, why is it you cut the end of the ham off? And she goes, oh, simple, because that was the size of my pan. Right? So we do that. We cut the end of our dreams off because of the size of our pan. I know I've done the one of the fishing story as well. What's our frying pan size? What is it we're telling the universe? And guess what? We need to just get a big look at all the stuff that we don't want. And so think about when you're talking about all the things that aren't working out in your life, what's the energy you're putting out into the universe? And that's going to come back to you. More of what you don't want. We have to stop it and say, you know what, I'm creating a desirous thing where I'm lifting my consciousness and raising it to new things. And whatever those new things are, I know that they're building more stuff for me, where I feel happier and healthier and more joyous, etc. One excellent way to shift is through affirmations. And when we think about affirmations, what do? They recondition our thinking. So many times we're stuck in the old pattern, right? We're stuck in the old pattern. And we want to break that pattern, but how do we do it? It's by feeding ourselves new thoughts that are feeding us with ideas and creative. And we're not talking about being book smart, we're talking about thinking. Because how many of us know people that are book smart but don't have a lick of common sense or don't have a lick of wisdom about how to operate in the world, It's an engineer that I worked with. He did not have a college degree, okay? And so now when you're looking at operating facilities, et cetera, that are requiring, at least a bachelor's and most possibly a master's, and you gotta have all this stuff. Well, Steve did not have any of this. Guess what? He had horse sense. We would walk into something that he's like, the heat busted, I don't know what to do, I can't get the guys out, but I'm gonna work on this, this, and this. I'm like, what's your thinking pattern? What are you doing? He goes, well, I go back to what created it. Now this belt was working, and now it's not, but it's not broken, and he would trace everything back, boom, he could fix the stuff without even calling out somebody. And I thought, dang, how do you do that? And he goes, I just go back to this. I go, man, you're operating as this teaching, you don't even know it. So once we identify we want to change something, we have to think about it differently. We have to take responsibility for it. And this is the time to acknowledge there's a power. There's a power that's working for us. I was going to entitle this talk Impossible, which means when it breaks down, I'm possible. Always think of that. Instead of saying something's impossible, say I'm possible. Just think alone. Feel the, say I'm possible.
I'm possible.
Now try. Now say impossible.
Impossible.
Oh, did you notice the tone difference? Ooh, did you? Oh, I lost my little heart just fell off. There you go. It's right there. But do you notice how the difference in the energy between possible and impossible? When you say something is impossible, you go, forget it. Never going to be able to do it. When you say I'm possible, it works. My dryer broke a couple weeks ago again, and my friend came over. And I'm like, do you have any idea what it is? He goes, I don't have a clue. So he showed me how to take the thing off, the front off, blah, 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 blah. We did all this stuff. And I said, you know what? I have a gut feeling it's the fuse because I've been reading stuff and it's the fuse. He goes, well, let's test a bunch of things. He goes, after about a half hour, he goes, you know, I think you're right. I think it's the fuse. Ordered the fuse, put the new fuse in, boom, it worked, right? So sometimes it's a matter of tracing it back to what's going on in my heart, what's going on in my mind, what's going on that I'm creating. Oh, I'm telling this funny story on myself. So you know how it is when you change your seats, right? So a week ago, when I was first changing my seats, I hate changing the sheets because I hate putting on the fitted sheet on the bed. It's always like, rustling, and then the cat likes to get up, and it's like this big fiasco, and I'm like, God, I hate doing this. Because by the time I do it, fourth corner is the one against the headboard and the nightstand. I have to lift the cushion up and do all this stuff. I said, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to corner the one at that end of the bed. Brainstorm, right? So I do that. I'm like, I just fit it right over. It fits. I'm like, oh my God. So yesterday I'm like, I'm changing the seats. I'm like, I don't have to dreading the fitted sheet anymore. Just do it and boom, get it on. I'm like, oh my God. How long have I been putting the fitted sheet at that nasty corner? I'm like, oh my God. Now that sounds so silly. But we do stuff, don't we? We do stuff and go, oh, I hate doing this. It's such a drag. It's like, wait a minute. I can change the way I do things. Oh, go fish. I mean, it's just so crazy. So say we're faced with something we don't like. The thinking to do that is not to spend time complaining about it because that sets an imagery out there of what it is we don't like. And then we build up this whole resistance, and then we get sick, and we get a cold, and we get whatever. We get a bum foot, whatever it is. Stuff happens because we set that imagery out there. So guess what? Instead, look within for what's going to create a nice change here. What is it? You know what? I don't have to figure out. Remember, this doesn't tell us what to think. It tells us how to think. It's very important. You know, not what to think. How we think, what's the pattern, what do? We put a new picture in our mind. This is what I want to create. You know, I was looking at housework yesterday. I know Lee and I were talking about our housework things. I said, ugh, I hate to, just begin. So I started to begin yesterday, and I thought, okay, I'm going to begin, and I'm going to sing. I'm going to sing the whole time I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm singing away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm done with this room, I'm done with this, and I finished that. Because we take a different approach to it, and the moment that we do, it doesn't become as much of a challenge. Let's see here. Our experience comes into our life because we invited them. Every experience that we're having came into our life because we invited it. And trust me, I wrote this for me. I always write these talks for me because I'm like, all right, what experience have I just invited that I'm not so hotsy-totsy about, and where do I want to change it? It doesn't feel like it all the time, but we can reshape it. Once you realize that you're the creator of your life, you can delve into the understanding, change your thinking, change your life. Then it happens. Because it's not just your thinking. You've got to feel about it. You've got to have a vision about it. You've got to have a real sense like, hey, I can do this. I can absolutely shift whatever it is that I want to shift. I was listening on YouTube, and he was talking about that he wanted to lose 5 pounds. He was already a thin man as far as I thought, but he wanted to lose 5 pounds, and he said every time he lost it, he kept putting it back on because he saw himself as 6 weighing 195. So he said, I wanted to weigh 190. So he said, what he decided to do was change that. I weigh 190, and he just kept affirming, I weigh 190. He now weighs 190. He said, I've kept it off for 2 years because he just kept saying, I weigh 190. Now think about it. We say, I cut the end of the ham off because my pan's too small. Pan ain't too small. It was my grandmother's pan that was too small. I don't know my grandmother's pan. I have my own pan, right? So it sounds so silly, but when we think about it in terms of applying it to our life, like, what do you want to do to change? Guess what? Do anything that we want to do. Anything. Now that sounds crazy. You can do anything that you want to do as long as you have the vision, the thought, the energy, the focus, and you take action towards it, not against it. So Louise had a beautiful affirmation, and she said, if you affirm this, I now realize that I have created this condition, and I am now willing to release the pattern in my consciousness that is responsible for this condition. Hear that? The pattern in my consciousness. Because sometimes, we're like driving down that old dirt road that's got the ruts in it, and we need to get out of those ruts, and it's very difficult. Well, guess we got to turn the wheel. We have to turn the wheel and get out of the rut. That's what you got to do. If we choose to let things bother and annoy us and pull us out of our comfort zone, then we are subject to anything having rule over us, voluntarily give over our power. I wrote that sentence for myself, just so you know. If we choose to let things bother, annoy, and pull us out of our comfort zone, then we're subject to anything having rule over us because we have our power over to it. So this teaching reminds us that we must have a clear understanding of what we want. And open at the top means thinking about it. I found this statement that I had typed out, and I was like, why did I write that? It was one sentence on the page. I was going through some documents, and it said, we're up to no good. Did you ever hear that when you were a kid? Your mother would be like, you're up to no good, Mary. I know you are. How about this? We're up to KNOW, good. We're up to no good. Isn't that good? Isn't that a good way to shift it? I'm like, oh, I must have typed that for myself at some point in time. We're up to no good. That's what we're up to. That's what we're doing. So the greatness is only attained by thinking great thoughts. I was reading Wallace Wattles the other day, The Secret to Success, and listen to this quote he has. Consider that there is one great intelligent principle of life and power, causing all the changing phenomenon throughout the cosmos. Next, think of the wonderful truth that this great intelligence is in you and me. It is your intelligence. It's my intelligence. It is the inner light that's impelling us towards right thinking, towards the best thing, and towards our highest happiness. It's the principle of power in you, giving you all the ability and genius. It will infallibly guide you to your best if you will acknowledge it and if you will walk in its light. Isn't that brilliant? Think about it. Every day we're given these beautiful 24 hours to create whatever we can use our thinking, our feeling, our imagining, everything, any desired way that we want. But if we sit there and grouse about what we don't like or complain about this or write in our journal all the garbage, which I'm all for, write your garbage out and then do an affirmation because you want to get it out of yourself, get back to that root cause. What's going on here? Why am I making these choices that aren't life affirming, right? So how do you live an undisturbed life and undisturbed from the outer world? You have to find your own center. You have to meditate, get in some space that absolutely helps you to find your true north. What is it? Because we've all got that still small voice that's speaking to us every day. Sometimes we go, shut up, I don't want to hear that. I want to do this, right? And we make up our minds like, okay, but that voice is saying, you want to create the experience you want? You can do whatever you desire. Anything that you desire, you can do it by putting your thought in the right way. We live in a universe that wants only our best and highest good. It wants only our to manifest. So open at the top means we see beyond the condition. We're faced with, and we see it as resolved. It's revealed to us whatever it is that we need to learn about ourselves and let go of, and make a new choice. We choose again. We get to choose again to make something that's more life-affirming, more fulfilling for us, brings us more joy and happiness. And with that, I'll go out and make it a fabulous day. And so it is. And now we have Miss Cecilia again.
As usual, I'm inviting you to sit back, relax, and if you may, you want to close your eyes